too thin at this point.
Well said. And Elizabeth, you said it takes time, but John Cohen, as this country tries to get its act together, and it takes time, in the meantime, our children are dying, our elders are dying in grocery stores, our children in the halls of schools. And here we have another mass shooting at a school with double-digit numbers.
That's right. And as Brad said, we will likely, based on the current threat environment, be having the same discussion within the next few weeks. It's, on the same weekend that we had the shooting in Buffalo, we had mass shootings in other cities in the country as well. So what are some things we can be doing now? One, communities across the country, as Elizabeth indicated, need to organize themselves. It's not so much what is the person on the radar screen. The question we should be asking is the radar screen tuned the right way to pick up on an individual who may be in the community, who may be traveling down the path to violence? I think that there's a lot of work that can be done in that area. And whether it's an educator, a coworker, a student, a family member, or somebody who's seeing something online, we need to make sure people understand what are the warning signs. And then communities across the country have to take stock of what resources they have and what they can do to prevent an act of violence. I will say one other thing, and Brad said something that I totally agree with. We are an angry country, and in some cases, it's anger that's very individualized, and that can at times manifest itself in an individual using violence as a way to express that anger. But it's an anger. It's a flame of anger that's being fanned sometimes by our public discourse. And something that we could do immediately is to have our public figures, whether they be in government or in the media or in other parts of our society, work to reduce the temperature of the anger that's way too prevalent in our society, because our adversaries, they look at the societal fractures, whether it's on issues, as Brad said, on abortion or immigration or race or the election or the integrity of our election system, and they will leverage those fractures in our society, seek to exacerbate them by promoting content that's intended to fan the flames of the anger in our society. So a big place, a place where we can take steps immediately is for public officials to take a step back, take a breath.
Welcome in, everyone.
To calm the
I just seen this myself, so I decided to share it with you guys.
We all have to take a breath right now because at this hour, we have 15 innocent lives taken, dead in the state of Texas, 14 of them children from Uvalde Elementary School. John, thank you. A big thanks to Elizabeth, Brad, and our whole entire ABC News team. We are continuing to monitor this breaking news story out of Uvalde, Texas, a mass shooting there at an elementary school. We have complete coverage throughout the evening here on ABC News Live, including on Prime with Lindsay Davis. I'm Kenneth Moten. Again, we'll keep you updated on this story as it develops.
Danielle, how you doing? Ryan, how you doing? So I'm just catching on to it. So I don't have all the details just yet. So we're gonna look at it together. So let's continue.
The latest, whenever it does happen, it's going to be moving from this civic center here just a few miles down the road to the Fairplex. We'll be heading that way in just a few minutes.
Lee, Steve Spreester and Myra Arthur taking over for the...
I do know they do have one person in custody. I don't know the age just yet.
One team.
About what this person...
Look like they're having some technical difficulties over
of those details to come out. Again, that press conference is now going to happen at 5 o'clock. We'll bring it to you. The latest, whenever it does happen, it's going to be moving from this civic center here just a few miles down the road to the Fairplex. We'll be heading that way in just a few minutes.
Lee, Steve Spreester and Myra Arthur.
What's going on, Triple C's? What's going on?
Hey, I just sent you a link in the back chat. It's a minute. It was posted a minute. Oh, it was updated a minute ago.
Okay. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay.
Trying to find
So it looks
some
like
the area.
they said the guy was on, or the kid, I don't know, was on Instagram or something like that. Okay, there go another one we got here. What's going on, everybody? Appreciate y'all for sliding through. It's breaking news. We got another shooting. This time it's in the elementary school. 14 students dead, 1 teacher. When does it stop? When does it stop? You still there, Triple C's?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just looking.
Okay, just making sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this thing moving so slow. Let's see what else we can find. Yeah, see this station right here, they slow. They only got 2 people being treated, but it's 14 people dead.
FBI is there at the scene. San Antonio Police and BCSO are.
That was live on Facebook.
As well as San Antonio Fire, as well as many other law enforcement agencies from around that entire community have stepped in to help in any way they can.
Yes, we saw dozens of law enforcement.
Okay, yeah,
there
let me stop sharing this one then.
Our reporter Vanessa.
All right, I'll share this other tab.
Okay, so from what I see, they say the shooter dead.
Well, I just seen they said he was in custody.
I don't.
But they be putting out false information.
Well, this is from NC5, so they probably don't even know yet. They say he allegedly shot his grandmother before going to the school.
Wow. Yep, Marley 13 said, yeah, he dead as well. So maybe it was more than one person, because I was watching before I went live.
No,
they said
that's
he
just people reporting before they know anything.
It's crazy.
They want to be the first ones to report so bad, they'll just run some stuff. They'll talk to somebody outside and they'll tell them anything and they run with it. Los Angeles, they all live with no information.
Area, there's a lot of Border Patrol there. I've seen a lot of Border Patrol on the video feed. I've seen the feds there, I've seen the state troopers. They're going to get all the help they need, but you know it doesn't unroll the tragedy. And you know it's just sad, and just sad to see this happen over and over again. Texas is awash in guns. I mean, if guns made safer, Texas would be the safest place on earth. But we can't even keep the school kids safe. So
yeah, Jim,
America needs to rethink it.
People ask me as, anchor of nightly news, what's happening? Why do things seem worse? I don't have an answer for that. Are they worse?
Yeah. I think they are worse. Yes, I think they are. I've been involved in policing for more than 40 years, 45 years. And, I think they are worse. The mass shootings that happen in every place that Americans go. I mean, often we used to have violence that involved criminals against criminals and gangs against gangs. Of course, we had hate crimes and some terrorist events. But now we have crimes and mass shootings at supermarkets and schools and movie theaters and colleges. And it's just every facet of American life has been touched by a mass shooting. And there's always lessons to be learned, but we never seem to be able to, get it right. And there's a lot of things that can be done, I think, that aren't being done. And I will bet that this suspect leaked about some of his violence. Maybe he was just a real violent actor that the police were after, and he ran to that school and was able to get in. Well, that tells us that the school's not hardened if that turns out to be the case, and somebody can get in with a gun. So that could be a failure. I mean, you can't think I'm in a small town, it won't happen to me. It happens everywhere. So it just makes you hurt, Lester, for the citizens of Uvalde, for that whole section of Texas. And no matter what we find out, like I say, it's going to be heartache tonight in Uvalde, a heartache all night with these little children.
14 children, one teacher killed. Let's go right now to NBC News correspondent Gabe Gutierrez, who continues to monitor information coming from the scene. Gabe?
I'm going to switch over to another station real quick. 1 second. This ain't even live. Hold on. Oh, here you go.
Just going to school today. Just 2 days left of the school year. Lost her life today. That is the harsh reality that so many family members and loved ones and this small, tight-knit community are dealing with. And as I mentioned, just from that text that I received, I mean, just chilling. A coach at Robb Elementary, hearing those gunshots, saying, someone is shooting at the school, I love you. That was sent out to all of her family members. As I mentioned, I asked their loved one, is she okay? She hid in the bathroom. She did survive. But those are the stories
they're going to do a press conference in a few minutes
that we're going to continue to hear. We're going to hear the stories of the tragedy, the stories of survival.
But again,
you got the link
to it.
Just tell you, as eyes on the ground, just to show you, as I have been, lots of law enforcement still directing traffic.
I wonder what he went up there to an elementary school and shot it up for.
Agencies. I've got Kenny County Sheriff's Office. As I mentioned earlier, I saw the DEA arrive here. You can see there's the Kenny County Sheriff's
he
Deputies
said,
getting into their vehicle.
He said it's gonna be a conference,
federal
conference behind in the stadium behind the school, I guess.
Members that
and he said they finna head that way.
As I mentioned, just get into
so they finna go see what's going on.
As you can see, pretty heartbroken by receiving some of the news.
I got that link that you just sent me. I got it up.
But that is the sentiment
so
here
I'll be watching whenever they start that press conference.
Right, Henry. Thank you. We now want to take you live, still in Uvalde, to the De Leon Civic Center, where Vanessa.
What up, Third Ward? What up, Miranda?
Vanessa Croy is at the school, Robb Elementary. Vanessa, where I guess students and the teacher, their bodies are still inside that school.
Deborah, we have not confirmed that here yet. All that we can tell you is that it's a heartbreaking scene out here. Friends and family members have come here in the last 15, 20 minutes trying to find out where their family members are, where their children are. We saw a father not too long ago talking to officers looking for his daughter and trying to find out where she was because he had been to the Civic Center. I can't imagine what these families are going through right now. So we cannot confirm the children are still inside the building right now. We can tell you where the source of the investigation is. Let me step out of the way. You can see it in the back of the school here. We're actually at the front of the school, at the corner of Geraldine Street, very near the turnaround in the front. Looks like that's where the source command center is set up, kind of the source of the investigation there. That's where the majority of law enforcement has been gathered. Last hour or so. They do have all these streets blocked off over here. No one is allowed through here around anywhere around this scene. They do have the school blocked off with crime tape and officers guarding each perimeter of the campuses. In fact, this is as close as we can get at this time. We do know that FBI is here. We recently saw their crime scene investigation team walk over to the scene as well. We've seen Texas Rangers, DPS, Border Patrol, and all the local law enforcement out here today. And we say state troopers and Border Patrol. We have state
18-year-old Salvador Romas. That link I just sent you.
It's a very tight-knit community. These Border Patrol agents, these DPS troopers, their children also live and thrive in this community, and perhaps even go to this elementary school. Earlier today, when I got out here, shortly after something had happened with that suspect at the time, when first we heard he was in custody, just seeing the officers' faces walk from the crime scene this way, you could just see the tragedy in their faces that unfolded inside that building today. In fact, Sheriff Nolasco of Uvalde County told me right before I got here, this is our worst nightmare has just happened. He said it's just horrific. And now that we're learning what happened today, it is horrific. And our prayers go out to this community and those families today. Deb and Audrey, I'm going to send it back to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Vanessa. And we just learned
Benny Mac,
CIS
from what Triple C said, he did shoot his grandmother.
Actually moving that press conference to
Triple C, you know, was she a teacher or what?
On the Uvalde PD Facebook page, as well as the Uvalde CISD Facebook page. But we do have a crew there.
So what was his purpose of going to the school?
Where parents were
it's a reason he went to that school. There got to be a reason he went to that school.
With those families, Victoria.
I guess that's something we'll just have to wait for them to announce.
Devastation, the heartbreak
But
is just palpable.
hell, I don't know. He dead now.
In the past 20 minutes at least, I have not seen a lot of parents come out with their kids. I have seen parents come in and then come out maybe 10 minutes later without them. Just a few minutes ago, I spoke to one man who was here looking for his niece. They've been kind of getting the runaround and they have not been able to find his niece, so we are absolutely praying for the best possible outcome for that family. Other families walking out with their kids
14 kids,
so
man.
Understandably, visibly upset. We do want to be very respectful during this very difficult time, so we have not been pushing them too hard to talk to us about one of the scariest days of their lives. But if I take a step out right now, you can see that it is still mostly just district officials, staff, a lot of media, and of course law enforcement. Uvalde CISD did say that the dismissal process is taking place on their campuses. They're asking that parents please stay in their vehicles while picking up their children. And over, I want to say, an hour ago,
hold on, I gotta check my
students at regular dismissal times at those campuses. Now, earlier today, there was this whiteboard with about more than a dozen teacher names. Those are the teachers' classrooms who were brought to the De Leon Civic Center. But again, Audrey, we're still seeing some parents, family members, and loved ones walk into the building and then coming out a few moments later without any students. So we are not totally sure how many people are in there or how many students are in there, but it's something that we are going to stay out here and keep an eye on. Audrey, Deb.
All right, thank you so much, Vanessa. Well, we are bringing you live coverage of one of the worst mass shootings in the United States history at an elementary school. It is the second worst to have occurred. Of course, Sandy Hook, where 20 students were killed. Right now, we have confirmed 14 children killed at this elementary school today. Certainly the worst mass shooting at a school in Texas.
We also know one teacher was killed there at Robb Elementary School when this active shooter situation unfolded. We know police were able to shoot and kill the 18-year-old shooter. He apparently, according to the governor, entered with a gun and possibly another weapon. We're still waiting to hear more from law enforcement about whether there was any motive, whether they could find anything out on social media. But we do know 2 people were transferred to University Hospital. A 66-year-old woman is in critical condition and a 10-year-old girl in critical condition. But Uvalde Memorial Hospital taking the bulk of those victims.
Okay. Yes, we are. There is someone in front of our camera right there. This is a live picture at the elementary school where all of this happened. We do have cameras set up, and we're getting ready to go inside the Civic Center there in Uvalde to bring you the news conference live from the superintendent there. Our cameras right there are set up at Robb Elementary School, but we have cameras.
So fast, Jesse. He himself is deceased and is believed that responding officers killed him.
So, Judge Janine, it was interesting that you picked up on the fact that the car was left there before he went into the school, and then it turns out there was a domestic situation where he ended up killing a family member, possibly his grandmother.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems that he was trying to escape. Although we're all look, this is a fluid situation in any kind of shooting like this or any criminal act of this nature. Everything is going to change. The facts are going to change. But if he drove to this school, you have to wonder, why did he drive to this school? What is the connection? What time did this happen? Do we know what time it happened? Elementary school. 12-17. And how old are the kids in an elementary school, guys?
K through 5, maybe?
Tops. So tops would be 10 years old.
Single digit ages.
Single digits?
6 to 10.
They're telling me single digits, maybe to 9, whatever. The bottom line is this. There was a reason that he went into this school. There is something connected in terms of his family, his history, or the argument that's connected to that school.
Well, I don't know anything about him, but I know that there are families that'll never be the same. And it should not be an occupational hazard of an elementary school student to go to school and for this to happen to them. And I really hope people don't speculate, don't jump to their usual political conclusions, don't call for these sweeping massive changes while people are grieving, and it sounds to me like may not even have been reunited with their children yet.
Yeah, that is the kind of in this day and age of Twitter and this inclination to immediately get a scalp over a horrible story. I do think that in time, of course, there's going to be the scouring of the social media. What did he post and when? Because that tends to be the next step in the next few hours. But it's like right now we're in that, as you say, such a fluid situation where there's all this micro reporting, and sometimes it's good to step back, take a breath, and wait for the information to accumulate. Because as we've just seen right now, the facts keep changing.
All right, we're going to take you guys now to the press conference. Let's listen in.
Agencies that assisted with the safety release for those students. We do want to keep all their families in their prayers. I hope you do as well. And we also family. The crime scene is still being worked on, and again, we'll notify the parents and the families as soon as we have some news.
We greatly appreciate your understanding and patience.
Being worked on, and again, we'll notify the parents and the families as soon as we have some news for them. Thank you so much.
We greatly appreciate your understanding and patience with us. Please know at this time, we are only making a statement. We will be releasing more information as the investigation continues. We appreciate your courtesy. At this time, it concludes our press conference. Thank you.
Let me go back to Facebook tripping.
The face of addiction comes in.
Graders. He says DPS is assisting. They believe that suspect, the 18-year-old suspect who is dead, acted alone in this active shooter situation. They only wanted to make a statement. They did not take questions from the media. They said families of the injured and deceased are being notified at this time, so they are trying to respect those families.
Big facts, D-Love. Big facts.
The parents of those 14 children that were killed and one teacher so far. And the police chief said that the shooter, 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, acted alone. walked into the school and killed 14 children and a teacher, and then he was shot and killed by law enforcement there. He came. Victoria De Leon is live in Uvalde. Let's go to her right now.
Hey, Deborah, yeah, just to kind of recap, it was a very short press conference, not a lot of information that we didn't already know. We do know now, though, that the shooter acted alone, and there are multiple injuries, and of course, those 14 students dead and one teacher. We are now inside of the Civic Center, where we passed by a couple of parents, families, loved ones of the Uvalde elementary school community. We also learned that the elementary school runs from up until 4th grade, so the youngest of those students impacted maybe 9, 10 years old. So we're going to stay out here in Uvalde for the rest of the day and continue to bring you those updates as we learn more.
Thank you so much. Right now, we want to go to Henry Ramos, who is at Uvalde Memorial Hospital. He has an update for us. That's where a lot of those victims were taken earlier today. Henry.
Yeah, Audrey, I actually just spoke with a grandmother who just walked across the street from the hospital with some good news. I just interviewed her. She told me that her grandson survived. He was shot. She said that he was shot. The bullet kind of hit him right here along the leg area. It didn't hit any bones, and it just kind of went through, is what she said. But she said the way that her grandson, who's a 5th grader at Robb Elementary, described what was happening.
These kids ain't even get a chance to live their life.
In his classroom, obviously scared. And he told his grandmother, he said, "Grandma, it sounded like fireworks was going off. It was just nonstop." And she said that that he was shot once. He was taken here at the hospital. The grandmother named Hilda, when she got the news that there was a shooting at Robb Elementary, she called her daughter and the grandmother, just hysterical. She said, she's like, "You know what? I just got in the car. I just knew that I was going to go to the school. I was going to make sure that my grandson was okay." He was brought here at the hospital. She said for the most part he is in good spirits. He's doing okay as best that he can. Also realizing that a lot of his classmates, didn't make it, as we've been reporting. 14 children passing away here, and a lot of the children taken here. But her grandson did survive, and she said, "Henry, this is something that we just and something that we have been hearing, something that I have been sharing, in talking with different people, is that they didn't expect for something like this to happen, especially given at any point, really at any point, but given that this was the last week of school." But she said her grandson just left the hospital here, and he actually walked out with a couple of police officers, I believe from Uvalde. He walked out with them. And I told her if we could share that photo with all of you. And so she said she's going to send it to me here shortly. She's actually on her way to her grandson's home just to be with him. She said she's going to hug him a little bit tighter. And she did want me to say that, for a lot of people who are watching that are not from South Central Texas, who are not from Texas, who don't know Uvalde, right? We've been saying it's a tight-knit community, but those watching across the nation, this is the type of community that knows everyone. This is the type of community, as I mentioned, that when something good happens, they're together. But when something bad happens, they're even more together. And she said, "Henry, we're going to come out stronger because of this. Right now, all we need," and she said, "all we need is prayers." Because the reality is, she says, "I'm lucky as a grandmother. I'm able to leave with the good news that my grandson survived. He's okay." But that is not the case. Not the case for a lot of family members, knowing that their loved one, children who just went to school, did not make it out. And that's the sad part. In terms of traffic, I can tell you there's not that much out here. You still have law enforcement, but I have noticed a lot of law enforcement that was here has since left. I don't know if that indicates anything. You can actually see it looks like a few law enforcement just exiting right now of the hospital parking lot. I can see some flashing lights here. I know this right here is a law enforcement vehicle. It's an unmarked one, but I do see some more that are leaving here with their emergency lights on. but we do have police here that are just guarding the scene here. A lot of family members just walking across. Again, some with good news, others not so much, but that's the latest that I have for you here from Uvalde Memorial. Audrey and Deborah.
And Henry, you know, wow, amazing that that student was able to tell his grandma all of those details. Was he able to say what class he was in? Was he in a gym class? Was he in the cafeteria? Or was this isolated to just one classroom? I'm sure there was a lot going on, but I don't know if he was able to relay that.
Yeah, I did ask Audrey, you know, what other details or what else did he tell her? And obviously, as you can imagine, their priority for these families is to make sure they're okay. And so he didn't reveal much. I know that she did say that he was in his classroom. Whether it was isolated to that classroom, I don't know, or if the gunman was going elsewhere, that's something I don't know. But what I do know is that he did say that he was in the classroom hiding with other students, and told his grandmother that it sounded like fireworks were going off, that it was just repeatedly, it was nonstop. And that's what he heard. And as I mentioned, he was just kind of shot once in the leg area. Had some treatment here at Uvalde Memorial, which we know several other students were taking.
All right, so I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. We can have a little discussion on what would you do? You got kids, Triple C's?
Yes, I do, but I got to drop down for a second.
Okay, handle your business. It's like what do you do? Like I seen a couple of comments earlier, you know, saying about, you know, taking your kids out of these schools. It's first it was C-19, and now we got people killing kids that don't even go to the school. 18-year-old boy go to an elementary school and kill some kids. This is crazy, man. This is insane. I just talked to my daughter today. She Daddy, I'm coming down to see you this weekend. I might stay for the whole summer. Well, I don't care. You can stay with me the whole summer. I'll lose my damn mind something happened to my daughter like this, man. For real. That'd be the end of Blake, because I'm going to blow the whole fucking city up. But shit, man, hell nah, man. This ain't even cool, man. This ain't even cool.
An 18-year-old resident of Uvalde, and they believe he acted alone. DPS is assisting. We just heard from Pete Arredondo, who is the police chief of UCISD, who made a statement, but they were not taking any questions as to respect the victims of those families. So still a lot of unknown in this, ever-developing situation.
And they are still informing families as right now. That's what the police chief said. These 14 children and the teacher. So Vanessa Croy, who has been at Robb Elementary all afternoon, has told us, I'm sorry, I'm being told, what is that? Monica? Okay. Vanessa told us that parents were showing up as recently as 30 minutes ago at the school, waiting for some word about their children. It's just heartbreaking. It really is just hard to... Okay, all right, Vanessa, we're going to go to Vanessa Croy now live at Robb Elementary. Vanessa?
Well, that's right, Deborah. In the last hour, we've seen families coming up here asking where their children are at this hour. We just had a group standing behind us wondering, where do they go? What do they do? They've been to the Civic Center. Where do they go next? All that we can tell you is that there are plans in place to create another staging area, but that's all we can tell you right now. DPS
I can't even say metal detectors because I don't even know if this kid went into school.
As soon as we get it, we'll definitely share it. We have been asked to move back a little bit from the front of the school. We were just in front of that sign, the sign on the corner, few minutes ago, but we were asked to move back because the crime scene investigation is going to extend further toward this side of the school. Now you can see in the front of the school, we have a little bit better perspective now from where we're standing. That is San Antonio SWAT team in that the large Humvee vehicle out there. We saw the DEA here earlier today. We know the FBI crime scene investigative unit is here as well. We do know that most of the investigation is focused on the back of the school. We can't see where that law enforcement group is gathered any longer since we had to change positions, but you can see a canopy behind the school towards the back. I believe earlier somebody said the teacher's parking lot. Audrey said the teacher's parking lot. So that is where it looks like a command center is set up, and that's where the focus of the investigation is. However, we were just told that investigation is moving different areas closer to the front
Balance.
of the school.
That's the first one he
We
killed.
were asked to move at this time, and I can also tell you we're kind of tight over here with all the media that's starting to line up, but other community members have come out here today. We just talked to a school district employee, and I asked her, does she have a child at the school? And she just said, no, I just wanted to be here. Henry was just talking about how close and tight-knit this community is, and that's very true. Everyone here cares about each other, and including all the law enforcement right now, many of them from this community, DPS, Border Patrol, Sheriff's Office, who are from this community and may have friends or family members, children. They'll go to this school here. So it's definitely hitting this community very hard right now. Deb and Audrey, we're going to send it back to you.
It's a heartbreaking situation. Thanks so much, Vanessa. And we want to get back to that sound with Governor Greg Abbott. He briefed the media earlier today on this deadly active shooter situation in
That's
Uvalde.
a picture of the shooter.
The shooter was Salvador Romas, an 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle, but that is not yet confirmed according to my most recent report. He shot and killed horrifically, incomprehensibly, 14 students and killed a teacher.
This dude looked crazy.
Mr. Romas, the shooter, he himself is deceased and is believed that responding officers killed him.
That's Governor Greg Abbott, and KENS 5's Zach
Don't
Briggs
he
has also been
quite
getting reactions from
disturbed
leaders around the state.
Yeah, he do. I'm gonna see if I can put this on the screen real quick.
Sparking reaction from lawmakers. Congressman Tony Gonzalez coming out saying, "My heart breaks for the city of Uvalde. Pray for our families." Texas House Speaker Dade Phelan coming out on social media stating, quote, "This is a horrific and heartbreaking situation. I've reached out to Representative King and I'm keeping in touch with Texas DPS. Please pray for the students, teachers, families, and everyone else involved." Zach Briggs, KENS 5.
A hard day in Uvalde, but right now we want to go to Alicia Nieves, who's going to give us another recap of everything that we learned in that media briefing that just took place. Alicia.
This is the shooter, everyone.
Audrey, the briefing was less than 5 minutes. DPS members were in there, district officials, and the police chief here in Uvalde. He said that multiple injuries were reported. Didn't give as many details, I should mention, as Governor Abbott did. But what we know is that 14 students and 1 teacher were killed. Around 11:30 is when everything started this morning at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. I'm standing outside of the Civic Center.
Well, Balance, I don't think we got enough information to call him a copycat just yet.
Where the press conference happened about 15 minutes ago.
Me going off of his name, I'm thinking he is Hispanic.
Holds students.
I pulled up the hold on, I'm gonna share this to you so you can see it. But I pulled up the demographics for Uvalde.
Governor Abbott. The chief said the suspect, who is
if you want to share your screen, feel free.
Who is from
hold on, I'm pulling it up. There you go.
And they believe that.
Now, see, here goes the. Okay, so this shit is confusing. Population by gender, population by race. So this line right here would coincide with white alone, and then Hispanic. Some other races see everybody else up. It's only the town is only 16. The population 16,000.
Mm-hmm.
So out of that, he's either those two or other races, Native, Hawaiian, or Pacific, or Hispanic or Latino.
I wouldn't call it a copycat. I just think Buddy lost his goddamn mind.
For all we know, he had issues, or he wasn't even from here. They said he was from Uvalde, but was he born in Uvalde? They didn't say that.
No,
they just said he's a resident. So, is he somebody that came in, because that is quite close to the border? It does happen. It does happen. Whether he documented or undocumented, that ain't got nothing to do with it. But somebody come in, they already got issues, and they snap. I mean, we don't know yet. Ain't enough to say.
But out of all places, first and foremost, you kill your grandmother, and then you go to an elementary school. Like that lady said, it has to be a connection between the two. It has to be.
It could be. Or he could have some kind of psychotic break and been hallucinating that it was somewhere else. You can't say for certain.
True. Yeah, I don't want to make no assumptions. You're right. Let's see what they're talking about.
Possible to these parents. So outside of the Civic Center right now, we have district officials, we have parents, we have members of law enforcement, we have the sheriff's office and border patrol out here securing the perimeter. If you are from Uvalde, this is off of West Main Street. So this is a very, very active area outside of the Civic Center.
I do hope y'all know that old boy still in court about that.
Slow down. You're going to encounter more traffic than usual because of the staging area.
They sued the shit out of Alex Jones, and he's still in court.
Alex Jones.
Struggling not to go to jail. Not struggling, struggling.
Who is that? Who's Alex Jones?
Jones is that white conspiracy theorist, which is where most of that stuff comes up with about them false flags and stuff. He said not Sandy Hook, but the one after that other elementary school shooting. He said it was a false flag, and all the parents got together and sued the shit out his ass. And then he came on, he went in the courtroom in the Supreme Court, and he said all of this is just a show. So do with that what you will.
Wow. Wow. Why would he do? Well, you know what? I ain't even gonna question it. He gonna have to deal with that himself.
Don't believe me? Look it up.
No, I believe. I believe.
He's been pushing that crisis actors and all that mess for as long as he's been on YouTube. Go over to the conspiracy theory sector of YouTube. And then they turned around that one father started it, and they turned around and sued the crap out of Alex Jones.
Began at 11:32 when an 18-year-old walked in.
And when they pressed him to the wall, he said it was all just for show.
Robb Elementary School.
That's just the like character I play online.
14 children.
None of this is real.
Is he a big YouTuber?
And then we also
yes.
Yeah, that's what.
That's off of YouTube now. He got his own channel and a podcast or something. Just type in Alex Jones. You'll see him
here in San Antonio University Health. Both of them in critical condition. We don't know the conditions of the 13 children at Memorial Hospital, but there is an extensive investigation underway right now at Robb Elementary. Crime scene tape all around. I think we can presume that those students are still inside that school along with the teacher.
Yes, and we've been hearing reaction from Governor Greg Abbott. We heard President Biden is expected to speak this evening, but we also have some neighboring communities officials who are responding as well. We want to go to some of those right now. First up, we have Chief William McManus. He tweeted this out. He said SAPD has sent resources to an active shooter at Robb Elementary in Uvalde and is standing by to assist as further needed.
Yes, San Antonio immediately sent able
and this is why I said after the Buffalo shooting, you can't stop a mass shooting because you don't know when it's going to happen.
was sent
You don't know
out
where it's
earlier
gonna
by
happen.
Chief McManus.
What's going on, Crystal
We also
G?
have heard from County Judge Nelson Wolf on this terribly tragic day. Judge Wolf saying it is with profound grief and broken hearts that we learn about the news coming this way this afternoon, our way. We stand united with the community in Uvalde and offer our assistance. And as we heard from Uvalde officials, they are asking for prayers. And families are still being notified about their children.
And Judge Wolf, he did go on to say, we also mourn with them over the lives of those children and adults lost to violence. Bexar County is sending personnel and material from the Office of Emergency Management, the Medical Examiner's Office, the Sheriff's Office, and University Hospital to support the ongoing operation. So a lot of neighboring communities, not just San Antonio, not just Bexar County, also assisting this afternoon.
Right. Well, let's go back live to Henry Ramos. He is outside the Uvalde Memorial Hospital. Henry.
Yeah, Audrey and Deborah, so I've just been talking to, just messaging the first grandmother that I spoke with on the way here, whose grandson, I think I told you about him, JJ, who was able to escape from a window at Robb Elementary with the help of his father, who saved other children as well, pulled them out of the window from their classroom. She said that she's at home with him right now, and I'm asking her, like, how is he doing? And she said that he's okay, that he actually knew the teacher that was killed. Do not believe that it was his teacher as well, but just trying to gain a little bit of more insight as to those chaotic moments of what happened inside that school. As for here outside the hospital, I can tell you a lot of vehicles have left. We've seen, as I've been here, we've seen a lot of family members just leaving, walking in and out. Just for my last time I was here with you all, I did speak to a grandmother who walked out just telling me that her 9-year-old grandson survived. He was inside Robb Elementary. He was shot once, I think she had mentioned just in the leg area. And he received some treatment here, as well as several other students who were taken here to Memorial Hospital here in Uvalde, and just trying to get as much context and insight as I can, and talking to these family members as to what their loved ones are saying as to what happened inside the school. He just mentioned to me, and I know I'd mentioned this, but the only thing he could say is that he told his grandmother that it just sounded like fireworks just going off as he was in his classroom. He said they were hiding there with other students as well, and he was able to walk out with police officers here at the hospital. Of course, her priority as a grandmother was to take him to go meet him at home, and he just said the thing that he just wanted to do was to rest. And
What up, GB?
Course, you do think about those other family members who aren't fortunate, and for some they're still waiting for answers. Others receiving the bad news that their loved one didn't make it here. As you can see, just right back this way to your left over here, you can see what appears to be at least loved ones. The community here could be family members, and that's what we have seen just walking across here, as we do have law enforcement blocking traffic from either side here as loved ones show up here at the hospital. I will tell you, though, probably about an hour ago,
Shalom,
consistently,
Ja.
I was seeing the chopper, Air Life, land here at Memorial Hospital. I mean, it was kind of like on a rotational basis. It was nonstop. That's something that I have not seen in quite some time. From the last time we were here, you all were here with us, we also had seen law enforcement agencies leave. So I don't know if that really does indicate something here, but it does show that at least that they are leaving here from the hospital, which has been quite a scene. As you can see, the parking lot is still full, but this hospital receiving a lot of the patients as well. But that's kind of what we're seeing from our end. Of course, as more family members do show up, I will do very politely and respectfully, ask them and try to gain a little bit more insight as much as I can from them as to what happened on this day. Audrey and Deborah.
Thanks so much, Henry. And we did have questions about those 2 pending transfers, so we can only assume that possibly that could be it. But we want to take you back over the situation, how it unfolded today. We heard from Pete Arredondo, the UCISD chief of police. He said that all of this unfolded around 11:32 a.m. at Robb's Elementary School there in Uvalde. Now that school, it houses 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders. Now the police chief says that that's when the suspect, who is named Salvador Ramos, 18 years old, a local there, entered the school with a gun. Now, we don't know if it was one gun, two guns, but they did say that he did act alone. We learned that 14 students were killed, one teacher is dead, and police were able to kill that shooter, 18-year-old Ramos.
And right now, the Robb Elementary School is surrounded with crime scene tape. And inside, the FBI and law enforcement are processing that scene. Vanessa Croy is at the scene right now. Vanessa? She has been there all day at Robb Elementary, driving there from San Antonio an hour and a half right after we got the news. Vanessa?
Well, that's right, Deborah. We did get the news shortly after the first calls came in today, and I jumped in the car and came out here not knowing exactly what to expect when I got out here today. I can tell you when I arrived, they hadn't really even blocked the road off yet. Parents were lined up trying to figure out what was happening. The street was lined with community members and families trying to find out what was going on. All that they knew is that there was some kind of active shooter inside their child's school. And I can tell you, I was standing on the corner right there when many law enforcement officers walked out of that school, tears in their eyes. You could see in their faces something horrific had happened inside that school building today. In fact, that's exactly what Uvalde County Sheriff Nolasco told me when I talked to him right before I arrived, that this was just horrific. He said, our worst nightmare happened today. And now that we're learning about those deaths today, and the children and the teacher just hitting this community devastatingly hard. There are other community members here standing behind our cameras. We've also seen parents come up here trying to find out where their children are. They don't know where to go. They've been to the Civic Center, they've been to another area, and they're trying to find somebody to help them find their child and find out where they are. Many people have asked us out here what's happening inside that school building right now. We don't know. All that we can tell you is that it's an active investigation. The FBI is here. The crime scene unit is here. I know that assisting in the investigation is Border Patrol, FBI once again, DPS, Texas Rangers are also here, and the local law enforcement. Hit really hard, of course, because this is their community. They were the first ones that went inside that school building today. Uvalde police, I saw them walk out of that building today before a lot of the extra help arrived. DPS, a lot of these DPS troopers are local, these Border Patrol agents, they are from this area. And just seeing their faces was devastating today. And now that we understand what unfolded in that building, we can definitely see why. I think we had some video of before we even realized we saw officers hugging and praying in the streets. What they saw inside definitely very difficult. Very difficult.
Exactly, Ms. Francis.
Audrey and Deb,
I
we're
was
going to
just
send it
thinking
back
the
to you.
same thing.
Once again, we are waiting for some more
Killing
details.
older people and kids.
One last detail before we go. I just talked to a DPS. They said they're working on a new staging area. They are going to release that information soon, and we will get that to you as soon as I have it. I'm just waiting to hear from them any minute now with that information, where that will be, and we can let those parents know where to go at this hour.
All right, Vanessa, thank you.
Lots of heavy hearts in Uvalde this evening and surrounding communities, but we do know that University Hospital here in San Antonio, they also got 2 transports, a 66-year-old woman in critical condition and a 10-year-old girl also in critical condition. And we learned that the San Antonio Blood Bank also transferred 13 units of blood. We want to go over to Troy Kless, who is there at the blood bank with an update on that and their needs. Troy.
Yeah,
Audrey, thank you.
We at war with ourselves.
It was within an hour of getting the
when
call
did this shit stop?
The shooting.
When did this
South
shit
Texas
stop?
Blood Bank was able to send initially 15 units by helicopter. They were able to get to Uvalde Memorial Hospital within just 45 minutes after getting that call. And even when we came down here to talk to South Texas Blood Bank about this, there are people that were actively donating that their blood could be going there tomorrow as well. So we did actually learn that there were an additional 10 units of O negative blood that were sent later in the afternoon. Again, all were sent to Uvalde Memorial Hospital to assist them.
All right, for those who just tuning in, just to give you a quick rundown, of course, we got 14 dead, 14 students dead, 1 teacher. Also, the killer, they did kill him. He originally killed his grandma first, and then went to this elementary school here in Texas and shot up the school. They got 1 older person in critical condition and 1 student still in critical condition. So it's a possibility these numbers can grow. So we just got to keep praying and hope that they pull through.
Blood supplies are at pretty low levels right now.
Yeah. This shit tripping.
That way.
Okay, Troy, we're having a little trouble with the audio.
Okay, that's done. I thought I was doing it.
An important message that blood is needed, and there will be a blood drive in Uvalde from 9 to 1 tomorrow at the Birmingham Community Center. Well, if you are just now joining us, we want to bring you up to date on what has been happening in Uvalde since 11:32 this morning, when a gunman, an 18-year-old resident of Uvalde, walked into Robb Elementary School with a handgun and possibly a shotgun and began shooting. Robb Elementary School, home to 600 students, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade students. He killed 14 of those students and a teacher, and then law enforcement shot and killed him. 13 students were taken to Uvalde Memorial Hospital. A 66-year-old woman and a 10-year-old child were brought here to San Antonio. They're both in critical condition.
And lots of officials from around the area, around the region, state, local, national, responding. Want to go to a comment from Mayor Ron Nirenberg about the situation that unfolded there in Uvalde. The mayor said, quote, "Uvalde is experiencing the sickening aftermath of a horrific mass shooting. At least 14 children and a teacher are gone. Pray for the loss, their families, and Uvalde." And of course, we did hear a brief statement from Pete Arredondo, who is a UCISD chief of police. But again, Mayor Ron Nirenberg, he did say San Antonio has sent mass casualty resources to the region and will do all that we can to help our neighbors to heal. But we did have a brief press conference, less than 5 minutes. The UCISD police chief did speak, and he said at 11:32 a.m. That suspect walked into Robb Elementary School that houses 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade students. That suspect, Salvador Ramos, 18 years old, a local Uvalde resident, entered with a gun, possibly another weapon, and shot up that school. We don't know exactly where he entered. We don't know what classroom he entered, but we do know there were 14 casualty students. We know there was 1 teacher dead. And we know that there is 2 other people in San Antonio. We want to go to some of that sound from earlier.
Good afternoon. I'm Anne Marie Espinoza, Executive Director of Communications and Marketing for Uvalde CISD. Please understand at this time, we will be making a statement and not taking any questions. So we please ask, at this time, we will be making a statement and not taking any questions. Here to provide a statement is our Uvalde CISD Chief of Police, Pete Arredondo.
Good afternoon. As she mentioned, I'm going to make a statement, and at this point, we won't take any questions. We will give you a time when we'll be addressing the media soon. At approximately 11:32 a.m. this morning, there was a mass casualty incident at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. This school has children that are in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. I can confirm right now that we have several injuries, adults and students, and we do have some deaths. The suspect is deceased at this point. DPS is assisting with the investigation. And at this point, the investigation is leading to tell us that the suspect did act alone during this heinous crime. Families are being notified, and we are providing services to them as the district should. As far as the rest of the district is concerned, safety measures were taken to make sure that we had a safe release for the rest of the district. throughout our city of Uvalde, and we had numerous law enforcement officers and agencies that assisted with the safety release for those students. We do want to keep all their families in their prayers. I hope you do as well. And we also want to respect the privacy of the family. The crime scene is still being worked on, and again, we'll notify the parents and the families as soon as we have some news for them. Thank you so much.
We greatly appreciate.
Guns don't kill people, man. People kill people.
Only making a statement. We will be releasing more information as the investigation continues.
I found this IG, but there's nothing on it.
Courtesy. At this time, it concludes.
I wouldn't be surprised they haven't taken it down yet.
Ain't nothing on it to take down except for his little hashtag.
Very short statement there. We did hear from the governor, though, that 14 students were killed and a teacher. And we have just gotten word that Bexar County has sent the medical examiner to Uvalde, to Robb Elementary School, where we believe the students and the teachers
you sure right.
inside that school. They have set up a staging area there, and it is all...
Unless he stripped it before he did it.
That's a possibility as well.
We want to get out to Vanessa Croy, who's there at Robb Elementary School, and has an update for us right now about that scene. Vanessa.
Well, they just asked us to move where we were standing on the corner a few minutes ago, and you can see what's pulling up over here.
John, we don't know if this don't seem like it's racially motivated, bro.
Investigation to the front of
I don't know the race of the kids that was killed anyway.
Pull up about 5 minutes ago. We've seen
I showed you them demographics.
Department of Emergency Management also here. That's along with this investigation.
Yeah, you did.
With DEA is here, FBI is here, DPS has been here all afternoon, along with Border Patrol and local law enforcement.
The thing that tripped me out is he killed his damn grandmother.
As the events were unfolding inside this elementary school.
I wonder if his mom and dad living.
Parents that are coming up here to the school, trying to find out, ask questions. Where are their children?
If he killed his grandma, more than likely not, unless
maybe more parents have come up here in the last hour asking law enforcement here how to find their children. They've been to the Civic Center, they've been to another area, and they have not been able to find them yet. I did talk to DPS. They said they are creating a new staging area. We're still trying to confirm where that is. As soon as we hear from DPS, we'll let you know as soon as we hear from them. I know that is in the works right now because we want to make sure that we can tell these parents something who are just hurting so much right now, trying to find out where their child is at this hour.
We just can't even imagine. And that large truck appears to be possibly a refrigerated morgue that has pulled up next to Robb Elementary School. And if you're just joining us now for Eyewitness News at 5 o'clock, we are covering a horrific story, one of the worst mass school shootings in the U.S. history, the worst in Texas history. 14 students killed today by a lone gunman, an 18-year-old Uvalde resident who walked into Robb Elementary and shot and killed those students and a teacher. And that suspect was killed then by law enforcement. There is the large truck that is just pulled up next to Robb Elementary in Uvalde. And inside Robb Elementary School, dozens of law enforcement and the FBI. DPS has taken over this investigation. They are inside. SAPD has sent units down there, BCSO, as well as all of the neighboring communities around Uvalde, this small community of 16,000. Here we have an aerial shot of Robb Elementary School this afternoon. When we first got on the scene, we heard about this at noon, sent crews right away and had a live picture up shortly after 1 o'clock. We saw law enforcement running inside the school. We now know
it's in Texas, Miss Leslie.
They had discovered the bodies,
Uvalde.
Bodies inside the school. And then we saw school bus after school bus leaving with these second, third, and fourth grade students being evacuated over to the Civic Center. And just a few minutes ago, we saw one of those children. Children are still being
Team
picked
Angel?
up from that location.
And we do know 2 people are clinging for their life at University Hospital in San Antonio. We have a 66-year-old woman who's in critical
being
condition.
so rude today. Hey,
10-year-old
everybody.
girl who's also in critical condition. But we want to get back to the Civic Center. We have Victoria De Leon there live. She's been speaking with families who are going to pick up their children. Victoria, yeah, I can't even imagine what those parents are going through.
Yeah, Audrey, during that press conference not too long ago, you heard officials saying that the parents are still being notified, and that's probably going to be the case for the rest of the day. Here, there have been several parents who have walked into that civic center and then had to come back out without their children. There were 2 women here who were waiting here for the past 2 or 3 hours, waiting for their family friend's daughter, who that family has just kind of split up and is looking all over the place for their child. So it is just absolutely heartbreaking here. And again, this Robb Elementary School from 2nd to 4th grade, so some of those youngest kids only 9, 10 years old. We've been here since about 3 p.m. I've seen a handful of people walk out with their children, obviously very devastated, tears running down their faces, many of them holding them very tight, as I'm sure lots of parents and family members are going to be doing for the rest of this day. We're going to be out here for the next couple of hours trying to talk to some more families to get a little bit more insight about what this day has been like. Absolutely devastating. We are, though, being respectful of them during this very difficult time. These stories are going to be coming out over the next few days, weeks, probably even months. So first and foremost, we are going to absolutely respect them and give them their space as they are grieving through something so devastating.
Okay. Thank you, Victoria. Yes, it's just impossible to even comprehend. We have been notified by CBS that President Biden has been told about this tragedy, and he plans to speak this evening when he returns to the White House.
Yes, and earlier today we were speaking about 2 people who are at University Hospital. They were transported to San Antonio, a 66-year-old woman and a 10-year-old girl. There were 2 pending transports, and Henry Ramos did say that he did see a lifelight leaving Uvalde Memorial Hospital, where a lot of those victims were taken. We haven't confirmed whether they have been transported to San Antonio or a neighboring area, but we do know that DPS has taken over that investigation. We know the FBI is there, as well as San Antonio Police, BCSO, but a number of neighboring law enforcement, Hondo, Batesville, Brackettville, all of these neighboring law enforcement agencies have been there all day assisting. Other campuses were released today at regular time, and those parents probably did see some of those law enforcement officers who were just there
Appreciate you for stopping through, Team Angel.
the minds and hearts of some of those parents at other campuses. But the kids who were there at Robb Elementary School, they were being picked up from that civic center after, and like you just heard from Victoria, a lot of those parents stressed out. They're still looking for their children, still being picked up at 5 o'clock, and this all began around 11:32 this afternoon at Robb Elementary.
And you are looking live right now at Robb Elementary, where this large truck has just pulled up. The Bexar County medical examiner has just arrived on the scene in the past 15 minutes, and that appears to be a refrigerated morgue truck. And we are hearing from people. We also have heard from BAMC. That's one of the 2 #1 trauma centers here in San Antonio, the other one being University Health. BAMC says we have received 2 adults from the tragic shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas. We don't have conditions to release at this time. So that is a total of 3 adults that we know who are hospitalized, 2 at BAMC, 1 at University Health. 13 children hospitalized at Uvalde, and also 1 child, a 10-year-old, hospitalized here at University Health.
It's a tragic, tragic day, a dark day over Uvalde today, and it's going to be a long couple of days because this investigation, we don't know a lot. We do know that the suspect, 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, he was a local there in Uvalde. We learned from Pete Arredondo, the UCISD police chief, that they believe he did act alone, and he was killed by police, responding officers to that active shooter situation that we've learned. A deadly, deadly situation. 14 students killed, 1 teacher dead, and of course that suspect was killed as well.
Yes, and then we have 1 student in critical condition, and we don't know the conditions of the other 13 students in Uvalde. And we have 3 adults hospitalized, in addition to the 1 teacher who was killed. And there at Robb Elementary School.
Children still being picked up. It's 5 o'clock now, still being picked up from the Civic Center. We also learned that there will be a blood drive tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Herbie Ham Center. They are in need of blood there in Uvalde. You can only imagine after this terrible situation, and usually when any sort of critical situation, there is always a need for blood. There's typically a need for blood.
Ja, you want to click the link, bro, and come up here and speak your mind, bro?
9 a.m. to 1. That blood drive will be taking place tomorrow.
And San Antonio's
I'm
blood
finna
bank
go on here and drop down. I gotta make some calls.
to Uvalde
I'll let you
to
know
help
later.
out in
I'll
this
be over there
crisis.
either
So
8,
everyone
8:30.
are trying to do all that they possibly
All
can.
right, y'all make sure y'all
to
tune in.
help
Triple
everyone
C's
in
at
Uvalde,
8.
and they are asking for
Appreciate you for
prayers for the
sliding.
community.
No
All of
problem.
this happening on the last week of
Peace.
school. Children were supposed to get out of school on Thursday. High school students are graduating on Friday. Of course, all of that now up in the air. Again, these are live pictures of it. This is from earlier, actually, at Robb Elementary School, where police and law enforcement from around the area, EMS units all converged, and school buses.
And we've been hearing stories from families. Henry Ramos spoke to one woman who said her son-in-law actually found out there was a shooting there at Robb Elementary School. He knew what classroom his son was in. He went, he broke the window out, he pulled his son out and started pulling other children out. They ran to a nearby funeral home where they hid until they could safely get away from that scene. And we've been hearing tons of stories like this. We also heard from a grandmother whose grandson was actually
Shot
grazed
in the leg. He said it sounded like firecrackers, and they were all hiding, and then his leg, he was grazed in the leg. He was hurt. Just terrifying for these children.
And of course, they're going to need a lot of help, a lot of support, and neighboring towns and counties are sending that. We heard from Judge Wolf earlier today. We heard from Mayor Ron Nirenberg. We also heard from Chief McManus, who spoke about what's going on in Uvalde. President Biden expected to speak this evening as well about this tragedy.
Right. I mean, one of the worst mass school shootings in the nation's history, and the worst one here in Texas. And so, yes, the president will be talking about.
All right. So we pretty much got the gist of everything that's going on. I'll definitely keep this. Matter of fact, let me just do it like that, just in case they do a press conference or something. But in this situation, I think this situation is still unfolding. You know, me myself personally, I don't make assumptions of what happened and why it happened. You know, the killer is dead, which I feel like the Buffalo shooter should have been, you know, the same. But I don't. That ain't my job to judge on what happened to someone. That's God's job. You know what I'm saying? So, but in this case, we got an 18-year-old teenager, young adult, kill his grandmother, and then run to a fucking elementary school. Well, this elementary school, the highest grade is 4th grade. And I think the oldest kid he killed was 10 years old. You talking about this guy right here, Joe? Nah, he dead. Buddy dead. Matter of fact, I thought I put his picture up here. Buddy dead. They killed him already. I don't know if you know that or not, but yeah, they killed him. I just don't understand. I don't understand, man.
President of the United States.
And of course, we will bring you that update this evening when the president speaks. But right now, we want to go back to Henry, who's at Uvalde Memorial Hospital, to get an update on those victims. And of course, Henry, you've been speaking to a lot of families.
Yeah, he dead, bro.
Yeah, I have, Audrey and Deborah. In fact, I just do want to just show you of exactly what's happening, and also just give you a quick update of, I just spoke to a husband of a nurse here at the hospital, but just to tell you what's happening.
I kind of figured that's why you were so angry. Yeah, but Buddy dead, man.
Law enforcement, which we have been showing, but I was actually, I
Shit, he looked dead in that goddamn picture I just showed y'all.
She walked into her car, and as soon as she opened the door of her passenger side, she just started bawling. As soon as she opened the door to her car, and that's, again, what a lot of the medical staff, the doctors, I mean, all the staff here that have been here, that have treated, that have saved lives here today, that have saved the lives of children that showed up here at Uvalde Memorial Hospital. So I spoke with the husband here who, he's just standing here next to his truck, and he showed up because his wife is a nurse here, a day nurse here at the hospital. And I said, you know, can you, I'm sure that your wife has been busy. What have you been able to learn? What have you been able to communicate with her? And he said, I haven't been able to talk to her much, but just via text. And the only thing that she told me is that it was a nightmare. And all the patients that showed up, the children that showed up, she arrived here at 7 this morning, and he said she was supposed to get off earlier, but given the circumstances as to what happened, you know, they stayed here later. And again, with this being such a tight-knit community, we also have to remind ourselves, folks, that these healthcare heroes, these nurses, these doctors, they're saving the lives of people they probably know. This is such a small town. They probably know these children, and that's what makes it even just more difficult, you know, especially for a town like Uvalde. And really just seeing that of a nurse leaving her shift today, seeing her in tears as she got into her vehicle. I mean, we've been reporting just in every single corner of this small town in Uvalde. That is the sentiment, the feelings, and it really is hard to describe, folks. I mean, it's not easy for us in terms of showing up to report on something like this, even back,
Uvalde,
in the
that
studio
shit.
With you know, Audrey and Deborah.
Down South Texas, that
especially
shit,
when it is
right
a
there by
community
Mexico.
that is so close to where we live, especially when we're talking about children who are just doing what they're supposed to do and going to school and to learn and to celebrate, you know, the end of the school year. All right, so we've been talking about
he ain't gonna get no glamour.
I spoke to who left the hospital, who walked across the street, whose grandson survived. She didn't want to appear on camera, but I did talk to her, and I want you to hear our conversation. Take a listen.
What happened? My grandson is in 5th grade, and he was shot.
Okay, so they do got 5th grade.
Came out the bottom on his upper part.
Earlier they said 4th grade.
Thank you, God. It didn't go through any bone. It didn't do any damage. Hopefully, no nerve damage and stuff. But he was just released, and we thank God for that. We pray for all the children that were taken by this mass murderer, I'd say. He took a life of a teacher, and all these families are at a loss for everything that's happened. This is a small town, a small community. I know it's going to bring us tighter and closer together. I just, I pray for everybody. I do, and I'm so happy that my grandson's fine. He's scared right now. He said he was scared, but he's fine. He just says he remembers it sounded like fireworks going off.
That's what he said?
Yes. He said it sounded like fireworks. He would sound like fireworks, Grandma. But,
did he say, was he just hiding in the classroom?
It was in his classroom. So, yeah, just happy to be, I'm happy he's out. It's been a traumatic out for a few hours already waiting and stuff, because I had gone to the Civic Center because my daughter was waiting for him. I called her. I go, there's been a shooting at the school, and she goes, okay. She goes, where? And I said, at Robb. And she's like, oh no, Mom, you know, her son. I said, okay. So she took off over there, and I called her, and she wouldn't answer me. And I was like, you know, what's going on? And she's like, he's been shot. And I was like, what? And I took off. I didn't even know where I was driving to. I was in a fog. I mean, he's the baby. So, but no, he's home. He's gonna go home and rest now.
Yeah. He's in 5th grade?
Yes.
How old is he?
He's 9.
9. Wow. What else did he tell you?
Nothing right now. He said he's just like, all the attention he got. We got a picture of him with the officers that walked him out. And she was happy. She cried. She was happy to see him walk out, all the officers and stuff. They were wonderful.
Were they?
Yes. They were awesome that they came together to help this small town. And hopefully we get to the bottom of this, because I know it's not over yet.
No. You don't think so?
Well, there's more threats coming in. There's rumors of the girlfriend making threats and stuff.
Who talking about you, Joe?
Have to be,
ready.
Yes. I don't know if we can ever be ready for something like this, though.
You can never be ready.
And right now they're releasing kids, because my other two grandkids are in two other schools, they're junior high and middle school, and they're letting them out one by one too, and they're being escorted also. But it's scary.
Shit like this you can't prepare for, man. You just can't.
I mean, there you heard it. The words from a grandmother, grateful, extremely grateful that she was able to walk out with her grandson, who actually walked out with police officers here. As you heard, just our conversation there, as she recounted, as I asked her as to what her grandson, 9 years old, what he was able to hear, what he was able to witness, as we've kept saying throughout this afternoon. I mean, you heard it from there, as her grandson told her grandma, it sounded like fireworks, it sounded like firecrackers going off. And she was just praying, and that's what it really is. And if you notice that something very distinctly what she said, and it's something that I want to point out, because it is something, as me being from a small town, this is what it's about when it comes to tragedy, when it comes to something that is unimaginable, that you can't even just really wrap your head around, that we're talking about children who have died, who are no longer here, that were shot and killed at school. It's just so hard to wrap your head around that. And what she said is that when it is times like this that are so tough, that are difficult for us, these are the times that we are stronger, that we come together. These are the times when a lot of people across the nation who have never even heard of Uvalde today, what she wants you all to know that are watching, that are going to see this play out here for the coming days, as we share the heartbreak, as we talk to these families, these grieving families, and this community who is certainly in mourning right now, that this is a community that's going to come together. This is a community that's going to unite. This is a community that is going to be stronger because of a tragedy. But back here at the hospital, as I mentioned off the top, a lot of the staff here is leaving. You can see this woman in blue scrubs here across the street, and speaking with a husband of a nurse here. He said that his wife is a top nurse here at the hospital. Just via text, all that he would share with me that his wife told him is that it was a nightmare, and dealing with all the several students that were bused here, that were in school buses here, that were taken in ambulances here to the hospital to save lives, to seek treatment. And as I mentioned, I mean, these are the healthcare workers, the nurses and the doctors. This is a small community, so they're treating and they're saving the lives of people that they know. You can see, though, from law enforcement, that aspect, the presence, there's not much out here, but we still have law enforcement still blocking traffic. We still do have family members that I have seen that are arrived as we've been out here and now approaching almost the 6 o'clock hour. Audrey and Deborah.
All right, Henry, thank you very much. We are now joined by Sharon Coe. Of course, we've been on the air here since noon with this horrific story out of Uvalde, where 14 students and a teacher have been killed.
Watching this all unfold has been just extremely tragic, extremely tragic.
I'm sure out in the community, I mean, it's all anybody is talking about right now. On the phone with us right now is Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Sierra. Archbishop, I understand you're on your way to Uvalde.
To the hospital and to the church and to the school, and to see how to be present in this very, very terrible tragedy. Yeah. We are very sad, and we want to be for the people and with the people, and we hope that we will be able to console some.
That's the question right there, D-Love. How was he able just to walk in that school like that?
Tonight we're going to have 6:30, and shortly we're going to go to the church.
You good, Nickel B?
Sacred Heart in Uvalde will be open to the public. You're able to pray. Anyone would like to come pray. We're at 8 o'clock. We celebrate Mass this evening, and we are calling priests and permanent deacons and lay leaders in the area to come to Uvalde to help to
these children. So what would you say to those parents?
Well, what I would say to the parents is your children or your children are precious and will always be, because they are so present in you, in your minds, in your hearts, in your lives, and to God because of the circumstances. That just to embrace them in the way you can, not in the way you cannot, because it's what we want to do with you, to embrace them in the way we can. And we believe that God will allow us to do it in so horrible situation and so painful time for all of you, not only the Catholic Church, but all the churches, the people of goodwill throughout the country are with you. And we know that it's a very lonely moment for you. It's a very painful moment, and also with so many emotions. But we just want to say to you, God and all of us are with you and for you at this time.
Archbishop, have you heard
What up,
from
Port
any
City?
parishioners in Uvalde? Anyone who has lost a child?
No.
All right, bro.
From the parish.
Welcome in, Miss King.
The teacher who also was killed.
Oh, no doubt, man. No doubt.
From a teacher in our school.
I got you, folk.
And many.
Don't let them get you all upset, man.
Connected with the people who have died. Are connected.
Stay suited and booted, my nigga. That's all I can tell you.
Archbishop, we've been hearing from parents, grandparents about what they're experiencing, what they're feeling, what they're seeing out there. And when we're watching this unfold, we're thinking this is unspeakable evil. So what would you say to give hope to the people who are watching this happen?
Well, it's very easy to think that way, and we know that evil has to do a lot with death, and that's why faith reminds us that there is something more beyond death, and that Jesus, we just celebrated the resurrection, Easter, but what it is also very easy to connect is with our system. There is a systemic problem in our country, and that death is becoming like a common thing. People are discarded. The value of human life is diminished. The idolatry of guns is so strong. I mean, we have heard just a few weeks ago, Buffalo, and we heard in Houston, and we heard, we saw the situation months ago, a year ago in El Paso, we in Los Angeles, in Chicago. I mean, daily killings in our own area of San Antonio. Life has been not taken with the dignity that it has. And so I can imagine how easy is connect with that something evil is happening. We don't know, I don't know, the situation and the motives of the individual who did this. But what we can say is that is lack of protection of the human person. And these are children so precious, so valuable. Their families love them dearly. And we do and I might have known some of them when I had been in Uvalde. I don't know, but we love them, and we hurt. But our systems have to change.
We sadly reported on earlier, 14 children he confirmed have been killed in this shooting, along with a teacher at Robb Elementary School in the Uvalde district there. The alleged gunman is also dead, and we have just received an image of that gunman, 18 years old. Our investigative reporter, Aaron Kotursky, with me now. Aaron, what more do we know about this suspect who is now dead, believed to be a member of that community and that school district?
Indeed, David. He's identified by the governor of Texas as 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, a student at Uvalde High School, and he is believed to have shot and killed his grandmother before entering Robb Elementary School and opening fire with a firearm that has not yet been made clear, according to police.
What's going on, Perry? Appreciate you, man. Appreciate it.
Shot and killed 14 elementary school students, along with one teacher. And law enforcement sources tell us, David, that the suspect, 18-year-old Salvador Ramos himself, was killed there at the scene.
And Aaron, again, Salvador Ramos believed to be a student in that district.
Big facts.
A student in the very community where he opened fire, it's believed, according to police, a student at Uvalde High School. Whether he was still going to classes or whether he had stopped going hasn't been made clear, but according to the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, Salvador Ramos is or was a student at Uvalde High School, the very community where Robb Elementary School is located, that came under fire by this gunman after
1804 was good, bro.
His grandmother. Authorities are now trying to go through his background to see what connection he may have had to that elementary school. They're also trying to run down social media and find any potential friends or acquaintances, just to see if there were any accomplices or anyone else who may have had an inkling that this shooting was about to come to.
All right, that is the major headline coming in right now. The suspect, the image of him just a short time ago made public. Again, an 18-year-old believed to be a member of that community and a student at the high school there.
The media wants us to believe that we're more divided.
Robb Elementary School. And Victoria, is there any new developments you can share with us?
Hey Sharon, we're actually
all day long, bro.
From the elementary school at the Willie Civic Center. This is where
we got.
Parents were directed to pick up some of the students from Robb Elementary. Now, just a few moments ago, a district spokesperson texted and said that all students have been picked up. I'm still trying to clarify whether she means all students from the Civic Center have been picked up, because in the last few minutes we've still seen a few parents walk in, and there are still a few families sitting on some of the chairs. It seems like they are waiting to hear from some of their students. So I'm not sure if that means that all students from the Civic Center have been picked up or all students from Robb Elementary are now home, but it's something that we're trying to clarify. But more than just families, it's also just community members from Uvalde who have come here to just try to see what they can do to help. A few moments ago, a man was here asking where he could donate blood. Now, I did see that they're holding a blood donation drive at the Herbie-Ham Activity Center tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We've also seen some people here coming in with water and snacks for those family members. We've been able to talk to some people off camera, understandably so. They are just not in a place right now to give interviews, and we of course want to be respectful of that. The word that I just keep hearing over and over again is just shock, heartbreak, disbelief. There's a lot of pain here in Uvalde tonight, and we're going to continue to be following this story over the next coming days. We are learning that there might be a prayer vigil, so we're going to try to head over there as soon as
no problem, Shaniqua.
Thank you, Victoria. It's great
Not
to
a
hear
problem
that
at all.
the community is coming together and truly living the word community, helping these families, helping these parents, and parents are reuniting with their kids.
Yes, and everyone praying there. And as we just heard from the Archbishop at 6:30, they're
link in the chat if anybody want to come up.
Sacred Heart Church there in Uvalde.
Get some words on how they feel about this.
And pray. And of course, the people reacting around the country. President Biden has lowered all of the flags at half-staff. And other officials also reacting. Zach Briggs has been speaking with them.
In San Antonio, Mayor Ron Nirenberg tweeting, Uvalde is experiencing the sickening aftermath of a horrific mass shooting. Pray for the lost, their families, and Uvalde. He also notes San Antonio has sent mass casualty resources to Uvalde. Well, Senator Ted Cruz says he and his wife are fervently lifting up in prayer the children and families in the horrific shooting in Uvalde. Well, thank you to heroic law enforcement and first responders for acting so swiftly. Meanwhile, President Biden has been briefed on the shooting at Robb Elementary, according to the White House press secretary. He's expected to speak on the incident this evening. Zach Briggs, KENS 5.
Okay, let's now go to Vanessa Croy, who is live at Robb Elementary School. And Vanessa, what can you tell us?
San Antonio Fire Chief Charles Hood just arrived on the scene. He's walking with what we're assuming could be families. They've been sitting here for a while waiting to find out what happened, where their children are. We've seen many families come out here in the last hour and a half asking, where are our children? We've been to the Civic Center, we've been to the other staging area in town, and we just want to know where our child is. I know these families have been waiting around, and Chief Hood just walked up with some DPS state troopers to escort those families to the front of the school. We don't know exactly where they're going or what they're doing, but he just arrived here. We have seen multiple law enforcement, EMS crews from all over this area and starting to see all over the state. Texas Department of Emergency Management is out here. San Antonio SWAT team has been out here, as well as these neighboring counties. The first responders to be on the scene today to support Uvalde Police and Uvalde County Sheriff's Office.
That's what we're trying to figure out, Rondo.
We're dealing with a lot of other things in this community right now, all rushing to the school. I did talk to a few of the sheriffs.
He killed his grandmother before he even went to the school.
They immediately sent what short-staffed EMS crews they had from Valverde, from Kenny County, from Medina County to head out here and help the first responders on the scene, in addition to DPS and Border Patrol, who it's very important to understand, the state and federal agents, but all part of these communities, these border communities in this area. You can see behind me, the scene is still very active.
Unless it's actually close to the border of Texas and Mexico.
Right in front of the school. They did pull up
New Mexico,
what appears to be, we're not exactly sure, they haven't come out and tell us yet, but we know this is Texas Department of Public Safety, Texas Department of Emergency Management is also is here as well.
Mexico.
I did talk to some law enforcement earlier, county officials who said they're just trying to notify these families. Some of the families, as we've seen out here, are just wondering where their children are at this hour still today. Now we do know behind the school, off to the side, is what looks like
that's
where the command post is.
Triple C's had posted up earlier when she was on the live with me. She was showing us,
but once again, they have set this up here. They have
the area
and barricade off this perimeter of the
people who live there. Most of them are Hispanics
over in this area. At this time, we're still waiting to find out if there is another staging area for families to go. DPS said they were working on that with the sheriff, so we're still waiting to find that out right now.
All right, Vanessa, thank you. Just heartbreaking to watch those families walking into the school there with Chief Charles Hood. Well, we want to let you know it's at 5:33. If you're just joining us, what we've been following all day today, at 11:33, a gunman, an 18-year-old Uvalde resident, walked into the elementary school there, Robb Elementary School, with a handgun and possibly a shotgun, and just opened fire, killing 14 students and one teacher. This school houses 600 students in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. 13 students were taken to the hospital there in Uvalde Memorial Hospital. A 10-year-old and a 66-year-old woman were
Jacksonville
taken to University Health. They are both in critical condition. 2 other adults are being treated at BAMC. We do not know their condition. The gunman was shot and killed by law enforcement on the scene in the worst mass shooting in Texas history and one of the worst in our country's history.
And of course, the community is coming together to help as much as they can, at what they can. Leaders, 13 liters of blood have been sent to that
13,
area.
yes,
13. To that area, to the district. Troy Kless is live at the blood bank with more on the donations. Troy.
Yeah, Sharon, we actually did learn those donations increased in the afternoon. So initially there were about 15 units of blood that were sent 28 minutes after they got the call about the events that unfolded in Uvalde. They sent them to the Uvalde Memorial Hospital. And then later this afternoon, 10 additional units of blood were sent. So that's 25 total. And in speaking with the South Texas Blood and Life Center earlier this afternoon, they say that's one of the best ways to help in the immediate aftermath for the victims of the shooting. So we did talk with one man earlier today who his blood will likely be going to assist with the victims tomorrow, by as early as tomorrow, in 24 hours after the shooting. So again, for anyone else that might be interested in wanting to help out, there's several ways you could do it, not just here in San Antonio, but also in Uvalde. So in Uvalde, tomorrow morning from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Herbie Ham Activity Center, they're going to be holding an emergency blood drive there where anyone of any blood type can arrive. But again, you don't have to be local to Uvalde to help out. You can go to any one of the blood donation centers here in San Antonio in order to assist. You want to go to southtexasblood.org. Again, that's southtexasblood.org, and you can find the center that's closest to you, and that way you can go to donate. Now, this is one of the first times that they've had to respond to a shooting like this, but we just mentioned earlier that it was within 45 minutes they were able to load up a supply of blood, getting on a helicopter, and get it to the hospital where they were treating the victims there. And again, it can take just a day in order for your donation to be turned around, tested, and be sent off to that response as well. So again, like we were just mentioning, 25 total units have been donated.
What's going on, Money
from the South
Stacks?
Texas Blood and Life Center. So far, they are on standby to see if they need to send any additional supply. But as of right now, and because of several other factors, their supplies have been
What's going on, Catherine?
Recently.
Thank you for coming through.
All the more reason for people to come down here and donate, or again, go to your nearest blood donation center. Again, check out southtexasblood.org. Again, southtexasblood.org if you want to donate and help the victims recovering from the horrific events over in Uvalde. Sharon?
Thank you, Troy. Yes, I know people just want to know, what can we do to help? And this is a wonderful thing you can do. In addition to prayers, go and give blood. Now, Henry Ramos has been in Uvalde all day. He has been at the hospital there, Memorial Hospital, talking to families. Let's go to Henry live. Henry?
Hi, good evening there, Sharon and Deborah. Just again, I've been talking about what we've been seeing out here, the sentiment, the feelings, the heartbreak. I mean, we just saw a woman just pull up right next to our camera, and she just opened her door and she just started crying hysterically out loud. And I wanted to give her space. And then she walked in with someone holding hands, and they walked into the hospital. I mean, we still have loved ones here still showing up to the hospital. I've actually reached out to them to see if there is a new update in terms of the number of patients, the care, but I haven't received word. And the only thing that we do have to recap for you is that we do know that 13 children from Robb Elementary were sent ambulance by bus, were sent here to the hospital.
Uvalde,
and then
Texas.
2 children were taken to San Antonio. And we do know that 2 individuals that arrived here unfortunately lost their life. And I had spoke to a family from San Antonio who told me that one of those 2 that died was a 10-year-old little girl from the elementary school. They told me that hours ago and confirmed to me that she was 10. She went to Robb, and she was taken here, and she died. And her mother was here.
You got that link, Leslie B?
But what we have been noticing is a lot of the staff here is leaving. I mean, I've just even speaking to just some of the husband of the nurse. It just. You have to think about this other side of it. I mean, there are so many families. This whole community is impacted here because of this tragedy. But we also have to remember the healthcare workers, the nurses and the doctors and the staff here at this hospital, which serves 5 counties. This is the hospital where people go to. I mean, people were still even showing up to their doctor's appointments when I was walking up to them. I mean, so you also have to think about that, and then you have to deal with this kind of mass casualty event here when you have so many of their
it's like that too, Joe. Some schools you gotta have you have to go to the
something else that I know that
you're supposed to go to the guidance office to get a pass, but at the same time the doors are unlocked, so you can just walk right in.
San Antonio Fire Chief Charles Hood is here, but the STRAC bus is also here and has been here for quite some time here.
They asking for blood because there are people that's
these types of situations.
Not dead.
Dealing with so many people that are injured. Obviously, so
14
many people that have died live.
Total that died, and there's still some that's
so
alive.
We know that there's so much aid
but their injuries are horrific,
to help here on
and
the
they need blood.
Front. Obviously,
I know earlier they had transported like 13 pints, 13 liters of blood. Excuse me. That's a lot of goddamn blood.
We did mention to you all about the grandmother who had left the hospital, whose grandson was able to walk out. He was grazed in his leg. A 9-year-old saying it sounded like fireworks as he was hiding in the classroom. So scary for a lot of these children, not knowing what was happening. It was just the last week of school almost wrapping up on Thursday, but he was able to walk out of here. He was able to survive. I do know that the hospital apparently was supposed to have a board of directors meeting. That has since been canceled. The hospital here in Uvalde is updating everyone publicly on its social media pages, and its last update, besides me reaching out to them, was probably about 30 or 40 minutes ago, and it was pushing the blood drive that Troy had mentioned. Of course, that being tomorrow at the Herbingham Activity Center parking lot. It's from 9 a.m. to 1. Extremely important if you can. And exactly right, Deborah, for those that we don't know what to do, of course, this community says offer prayer. They need all the prayer that they need. They need to be lifted up, as a lot of families, a lot of heartbreak. But the other thing that we can do, if you can, is donate blood, and that's happening from 9 to 1. And the thing is, you don't have to pre-register to donate blood, and you can certainly save a lot of lives with that. But we have seen a lot of the law enforcement here that was blocking the hospital has since left, but there still are loved ones that are still showing up. And of course, I do want to remain respectful, because this is what makes our job extremely difficult in rushing up to these families and trying to get the insight to provide you the latest information as well as accurate information. But we do have to be respectful. We are human, and we understand that they're hurting, and there's so much uncertainty unknown as to what they're going through right now. So we are here with them. We are here for you to keep you updated. As soon as I hear more or gain any more new insight from anyone here in this parking lot, of course, we'll make sure to bring it to you, Sharon and Deborah.
All right, Henry, and for people who are just joining us, will you share the story of the grandmother you spoke to, where her son-in-law went over to rescue his son?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so that was I actually interviewed her in the car on the way here, and Mary is she's a KINS 5 viewer. She lives here in Uvalde. We're friends on Facebook, and I saw that she just kept posting, and so I'd reached out to her, and she told me her son, JJ, attends Robb Elementary, and so we were able to chat as she was outside her home. She lives very close to the elementary, so she was hearing at least the action from the law enforcement side as you had all the choppers flying over.
Shining light.
Obviously, as
Thank you for
Vanessa
sliding
mentioned,
through.
we have Border Patrol and so many agencies here. But she was also mentioning that her grandson, JJ, goes there. He was in the classroom. As soon as her son-in-law, JJ's dad, heard that there was a shooting at the school, he rushed to the school, right? As a father, as a parent, you've got to make sure that your child is safe. He went there. He knows the classroom where his son is located, and was able to get children and his son out of the window. I mean, just pulling them out of the window, and that's how they were able to run to safety. I was told they ran to a funeral home that was near Robb Elementary, and there they were able to seek refuge there for a while. But those are the kind of stories that we're hearing, Deborah, these stories of survival. But, as Mary had mentioned to me, she's like, it's not in a million years, Henry, would I ever think that we would be seeing this unfolding in our small town, a town who loves, a town who's united. and especially on a day where these kids were getting certificates. I mean, it's the end of the school, and I keep saying that, but that just gives you perspective, folks, the context as to the joy that these students were facing, as well as learning, but also looking forward to the summer. But, you know, and the same message that the grandmother Mary has been mentioning is that she just asked that while this is truly devastating, that she just asked for prayers for everyone.
Right, very powerful. And thank you, Henry. We were speaking with Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Sierra just a little bit ago, and he's on his way to Uvalde to offer prayers and comfort families. And at Sacred Heart Church, 6:30, they'll be opening the doors to everyone there to pray.
And you know, Deborah, when I hear the story from Henry and what he had said earlier, I'd love to underscore that. You know, what can we do to help? I think that comes to mind. We feel almost helpless when something like this happens. He really talked about the healthcare workers. They are working tirelessly to help these children, to help these folks. Troy Kless, who was live at the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center, talking about the generosity of the community. And Deborah, I know that you have donated. I've donated blood. It's painless. It's quick.
Right.
It's really easy, and that can go a long way and can help tremendously. So let's now go to Alicia Nieves, who is at Uvalde. And Alicia, what can you tell us?
There's a new staging area for the media now, Sharon. Instead of the Civic Center right down Main Street, we are a little bit further away, about a 3-minute drive to the Uvalde County Fairplex, right outside the Uvalde County Event Center. As soon as we pulled up, we saw 3 county workers walk behind me to go and lower the flags to half-staff. It was a directive by President Joe Biden to remember the lives lost of the 14 students and 1 teacher at Robb Elementary. After one of the workers, after they completed their task behind me, you know, I asked him, you know, how you doing? I'm so sorry, you know, for your community. And he says, you know what, it's still shocking, he says, because I'm from here. And he said that he was working the scene earlier today as an emergency responder. And he said that it just hasn't sunk in. You know, he's still in just, I guess, the adrenaline rush of everything, the shock of reading and finding out about what happened and working that scene. I'm sure, ladies, you can imagine how extremely tough that was. And he was telling me about how his wife, or he has a child in pre-K, and his wife went to go pick up the child at about noon. So you have parents, my point is, who have been waiting about 5 hours already to pick up their child from another school within Uvalde Consolidated School District. So it is just, like Henry was mentioning, unfathomable to imagine this happening anywhere. And in Uvalde, you know, relatively quiet city, it is just hard to sink in, especially for the people who were born and raised here. So we are once again outside of the Uvalde County Fairplex, and we are hearing from other journalists there's a possibility of another press conference. You have the governor who is in Abilene today, and he can get here pretty quick if he maybe plans to do a press conference. That is one possibility, but the school district says that they are going to keep all parents updated on their social media pages. You have them very active on Twitter. You have the police department very active on Facebook as well. So as soon as we get word of any press conference, so we can bring you all new information, I'll pass that along as soon as I can.
All right, Alicia, thank you. And we now want to go back to Robb Elementary, where Vanessa Croy has been all afternoon. Vanessa?
Well, Deb and Sharon, we have just learned that one of the Border Patrol agents that responded to this shooting today was somehow struck with gunfire. We are hearing our law enforcement sources are telling us this information. They are telling us that that agent is okay today, that he was thankfully not seriously injured. And once again, it was just one of many law enforcement officers that responded to this shooting today. I'm going to step out of the way and show you what's happening right now. We've seen families coming out here in the last hour or so trying to find their child, trying to figure out what exactly has happened. They had, we saw frustrated families before that, just wanting to know where to go. We also saw San Antonio Fire Chief Charles Hood. He got here probably about 45 minutes ago and was escorting some of those families into the front of the school. Can't imagine what they're facing when they enter the doors of that campus.
Like we just lost Vanessa Croy's live feed, but we do have a statement from Senator John Cornyn, and he says, "My heart goes out to those in the hospital receiving care and to the loved ones of those who lost their lives. As a parent, I cannot imagine the pain they must be feeling. I am in touch with local officials in Uvalde and plan to travel there as soon as I can get there."
And the Red Cross said in a statement, quote, "The thoughts and deepest sympathies of the entire American Red Cross family are with the people of Uvalde and those affected by this tragic shooting. The Red Cross and its volunteers continue to coordinate our efforts with the Department of Public Safety, the City of Uvalde, and Uvalde County to assist family members of the victims. We appreciate the outpouring of support of community members reaching out to the Red Cross to offer their help during this challenging moment. At this time, we have all the resources and assistance we need. We will continue to coordinate with local officials and community partners to determine how we can best support the Uvalde community in the days and weeks ahead." End quote.
And we are expected to hear from President Biden, who is going to address the nation, who is going to speak to all Americans about this tragedy and what happened.
At 7:15 tonight. Yes, you know, Uvalde is known, of course, as the hometown of Governor Dolph Briscoe, of Matthew McConaughey, and now, unfortunately, it's going to be known for this terrible mass shooting at an elementary school. Robb Elementary, with 600 students, second, third, and fourth graders there. And a gunman just walked in today and just started shooting.
Governor Greg Abbott sharing and confirming 14 students have died. One teacher has died in this shooting. He shared with us that the shooter acted alone. An 18-year-old Uvalde resident who came with a handgun, possibly another rifle, another weapon of some kind. The governor saying that has yet to be confirmed, but possibly another weapon.
And we do know a 66-year-old woman is in critical condition here in San Antonio. 2 other adults are in BAMC. We do not know their condition. We just heard from Vanessa just moments ago. A Border Patrol officer who responded to the scene was wounded in the leg, shot in the leg. And then we know 13 students were taken to the hospital there in Uvalde, and a 10-year-old girl is in critical condition here at University Health.
We've seen an outpouring of law enforcement support ever since the shooting started around 11:30, around noon. Again, at Robb Elementary School, we've seen at the FBI, Uvalde Police, Bexar County Sheriff's Office, San Antonio Police. We saw early a few minutes ago the San Antonio Fire Chief going in there, walking with families, walking with community members. Of course, DPS has taken over as a lead in this investigation as this continues.
Yes, and still an active crime scene there at Robb Elementary School, surrounded with crime scene tape. We did watch as people were walking in there. I can't imagine the scene in there. Vanessa Croy told us DPS officers and other officers were leaving with tears in their eyes earlier today. Let's go back to Vanessa live at the scene.
We are here back live at the scene. I've been here since around 1 o'clock this afternoon, before they even had all these streets blocked off today. But you can see now the scene is still very active. The investigation is still very active. We just saw San Antonio Fire Chief Charles Hood get out here and escort some of what we believe to be the families into the front of the school just a few minutes ago. We've seen families come out here the last hour wondering where their children are. They had been to the other staging areas and at a loss of what to do now. In addition to our San Antonio Fire Department and police, we also have all the local law enforcement out here as well from surrounding counties supporting Uvalde Police and Uvalde County Sheriff's Office. The weather is getting pretty windy out here as the investigation goes on. Most of the investigation is focused behind the school. That's where it looks like a staging area is set up. We did see more law enforcement out there this afternoon, but we have seen FBI.
Thanks,
here
Leslie
today.
B.
DEA,
Appreciate
as well
it.
as the FBI Crime Scene Investigative Unit, is here as well. Out here right now, so you can still see they have all these streets blocked off in this area, and we're hoping to get some more information soon out here.
And law enforcement officers will be there for hours. Audrey is back here in studio with us.
Yeah, it's still a very active scene there. Like we just heard from Vanessa, one Border Patrol agent who did respond to that
I'm gonna let y'all see this real quick, then we'll come right back to this
situation. But luckily, he is going to be okay. That's some good news there. But right now, we want to go to.
Where are they at? Oh shit. Where are they at?
Stop gaming. In 2020,
showing up to this prayer vigil, and we'll keep you updated with the latest.
Victoria, they're at the Church of Christ that is getting ready for a vigil tonight. Of course, the whole community wanting to come together during such a hard
Appreciate
time.
that, Leslie B.
You know, that's what happens a lot, right? People just want to wrap their arms around each other and pray and just come together.
Yeah, and we had heard earlier from Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Sierra. He really shared a message of hope and really prayer. I think that can go a long way. I think sometimes when things like this happen, it can be trivial to some people, but I think especially with this community, they need that and they need your help. And if you physically want to do something too, we had also heard from Troy Kless at the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center. You can certainly donate to make a difference.
And right now we want to go to Alicia Nieves, who actually moved over to a different location, a new staging location for media. Alicia, those flags behind you flying at half staff.
As directed by the President of the United States, you saw on Twitter earlier, guys, that the President has been briefed about what happened here, and he has spoken with Governor Greg Abbott and is offering any assistance. When we pulled up here at our new location, it was maybe about half an hour ago, we saw county workers begin to lower the flags, just in memory of the lives lost. And we've been talking about this since we've been on the air.
Me too, Nick will be.
How this kind of
I'm cooking
does
too.
not happen in Uvalde. We work Sutherland Springs, ladies. We have heard about these cases across the United States, and then when it hits home, it hits hard. And the county worker who has a child in pre-K, he is from here, and he just told me earlier, after he finished lowering the flags, that it's just hard news to settle in. He hasn't accepted it yet, as I'm sure many other people haven't either. So you have parents who are likely still waiting to pick up children tonight at different campuses. I heard about parents who had a child in pre-K who were waiting for about 5 hours to pick them up from school. And so we are hearing all of the updates on social media from the school district. I just reached out to school officials to see if they are going to be doing another press conference here at the Fairplex, which is where we were relocated. We were previously at the Civic Center, and we are still waiting to hear back. You can see it's windy. It looks like it's really about to start pouring here in Uvalde. So if they do have a press conference, we are being directed inside, and we are just waiting on word to see when that will be. But once again, the district has been very communicative on social media, on Twitter and Facebook, the police department as well. So we have post notifications turned on, and we will keep you updated as soon as we hear if they plan to release any new information. Hopefully that will come sooner rather than later. I mean, in conversations with people today, you know, they're saying there are just more questions than answers at this point. Lots of people want to know the motive. Lots of people want to know, you know, why would someone like this, why would someone target children? You know, the innocent lives lost, and it is just hard to comprehend. So once again, I will keep you ladies posted if we hear anything new.
Thank you so much, Alicia.
And you can see behind her, flags are lowered in honor of those 14 children and teacher who died.
It's now 6 o'clock, and if you're just joining us, we have continuing coverage of a mass shooting out of Uvalde. So we want to go over what we've learned so far today. Pete Arredondo, the UCISD police chief, gave us a brief statement. He said this all began at around 11:32 a.m. at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. Now, that's a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade campus. And we learned that the suspect entered that building possibly with one gun, maybe two. Suspect identified as Salvador Ramos, an 18-year-old Uvalde local. While in there, he shot at students and teachers. We learned that 14 students died. 1 teacher died. Police were able to take down that shooter, who they say later they believe was acting alone in this. Families are still being notified. Several students were transported to Uvalde Memorial Hospital. We also had 2 people transported to University Hospital in San Antonio, a 66-year-old woman in critical condition, a 10-year-old girl in critical condition. And we also learned that there are 2 adults who were also transported to BAMC, one of the other hospitals that was allowed to take some of those transports from Uvalde Memorial. Now, just recently, a reporter at the scene there at Robb Elementary School, we learned through Vanessa Croy that there was a Border Patrol agent who also was responding to that location, to that active shooter situation. That Border Patrol agent was injured, but they say he is going to be okay. So some good news there. There still was parents picking up students as of 5 o'clock earlier. It's now 6. They are still notifying parents, so we still are waiting for a lot more information. We also know the Church of Christ is going to be holding a prayer vigil shortly. That's coming up here in just a bit. And also, if you would like to help, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. tomorrow, there will also be a blood drive at Herbie Ham.
And speaking of blood drive, Audrey, you know, Troy Kless has been at the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center talking about the donations that have been coming in. 25 liters of blood have been sent to the district, to the area in Uvalde. He joins us live. Do we have him? There we go. Troy, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Sharon. Well, while we were here earlier today talking with the South Texas Blood and Life Tissue Center about the donations, there was one man that we spoke with that his blood could likely go to assist as well. The center is currently on standby to send additional blood, but like you mentioned, Sharon, 25 units have been sent so far. 15 were sent in the initial aftermath and the response to the shooting there, and then 10 were sent later in the afternoon. And again, it's a critical component to the response for a traumatic event like this. You know, we were talking with the Blood and Tissue Center, and they say they have a program called Brothers in Arms that provides blood in situations like this. And again, you can go to southtexasblood.org if you want to donate. And again, we have that donation that's going to be coming up tomorrow in Uvalde, like you mentioned as well. Back to y'all.
Thank you, Troy. We know that one donation can save 3 lives.
Absolutely. Well, right now we want to get over to Henry Ramos. He's been at Uvalde Memorial Hospital, which took a lot of the injured there. Henry, I see you have someone joining you right now.
I do, Audrey, and please bear with us because the wind, these gusts are certainly picking up, so I apologize if it's a little bit difficult. Oh my goodness. Oh my, are you okay? Okay, I'm so sorry. Please bear with us, folks. Hopefully this wind will pass. I'm so sorry. So go ahead, and for everyone that's watching, why we're meeting today, because your niece, who is more like a daughter, attends Robb, and she's missing right now.
Correct. Yes. Her name is Ileana Torres. If anybody knows where her whereabouts, please contact my sister. Her number is 830-279-8358. Her name is Sandra Torres. We are in disbelief of this tragedy that happened, and we have not yet gotten any answers of where her whereabouts are at. And please, if anybody has any news on her, any hospitals that have any information on her, please reach out to us and let us know that she is at y'all's facility, and just praying for a safe return home.
So you came here to the hospital here to see if she was here, and how long were you here? And you said that process, the way that they were identifying was tough.
Yeah, it was tough. They would ask you for a picture, just a picture, this description of what they were wearing this morning, and it was hard. They did take my sister to the back to identify, thinking it was my niece, but it wasn't my niece.
So she's not at the Civic Center, nowhere? Like,
No.
I mean, you have no idea?
We have no idea, and it's not like her. It's not like my niece not to reach out, because when she feels that she's threatened or scared, she's always calling on her cell phone. She'll blow up somebody until somebody answers her. And up to right now, to this minute, we have not gotten one phone call from her, and her phone is off.
What's going through your mind is you're trying to make sense of, to find where your niece, who's more like a daughter for you, who's 10 years old, who was at Robb this morning, and then making sense. We have 18 children died today. I mean, what's kind of going through your mind right now as you live in this town?
Well, it's 14 plus, because they're dying as, I guess, they're working on them. I'm just praying that my little one is okay. I believe in the power of prayer, and I believe that I want to tell myself that she's okay, and I'm going to keep telling myself that she's okay and she's going to come home.
Can you show us a picture of her real quick, so that way, and you have her on her, and you said, we've been saying, if you can kind of zoom in there, Irissa, that this was the last week of school. She had a softball game today. She's a fourth grader. She was looking forward to school, ending.
She was very excited about her softball game today. She was kind of nervous. I talked to her last night, and she was kind of nervous, stating that it was her last game and she didn't want softball to end. And she was excited because they were gonna, I guess, announce the ones that made it to All-Stars. And she was also saying, like, what if I make it? I'm gonna be so nervous. And I was like, girl, you got this. You're gonna be good at it. You got this. So she was excited about her game today.
And is that the last time you spoke with her as of right now?
It was the last time that I spoke to her was yesterday.
For people that are watching, and people all across that are watching, when they're hearing Uvalde and they're hearing the tragedy and the children and the lives lost, what do you want them to know about this town, and as we try to all kind of make sense of this with you all right now?
Well, all law enforcement is doing what they can and what's expected, and just for the safety and for everybody, and wanting everybody to hopefully they find their loved ones. That's all I can say. I hope they find their loved ones.
And for you, we hope the same. So where do we go next?
Next, well, we're headed out to the Civic Center.
Keep looking.
Where the waiting starts there as well.
Will you please keep us posted?
Sure.
Okay. Stay strong. Is there anything else you'd like to add? We appreciate your time.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Be safe. I mean, and that was kind of echoing, as you heard there live, the same what Vanessa Croy was saying, is that a lot of family members, showing up to Robb Elementary even there, still not being able to find their loved ones. And you have loved ones that are showing up here to the hospital, trying to see if they're here. And you heard that, this couple, talking about the fourth grader, their loved one, they've been here for hours. It's a process as loved ones are showing up, not knowing if their loved one is here at the hospital, if they're being treated, if they didn't make it. We know that that 2 people that arrived here didn't make it. I do know that one of those was a 10-year-old, and I mean, as you heard, it's tough. I mean, they're asking them questions. What were they wearing when they went to school today? Can you have a picture? Let's identify them. There are so many different stories out there, and it's tough hearing that because it's so much worry, and it's hard to wrap your head around that, to even get families like that, loved ones, to talk about the heartache and the pain and the unknown and the uncertainty. And every single one of these people out here have their own story. It's not just like the grandmother that I interviewed hours ago, who was fortunate enough that her 9-year-old grandson, who was a student there, was grazing the bullet. He was able to walk out, which it is great. And I don't want to diminish that, but we also have to remember, folks, that there are a lot of people out there at this time that have either are mourning the loss of their loved one, or there's so much uncertainty that they still can't even find them at this hour. And here we are, the 6 o'clock hour. And so that, just to give you some context there, we'll send it back to you.
We wish that family the best, and we hope that they can locate their niece.
Yeah, a lot of heartbreaking uncertainty, heartbreaking mystery, unfortunately. And we have just learned that President Biden spoke with Governor Greg Abbott to give him any assistance that he needs.
Absolutely. And right now we want to go to Vanessa Croy, who is at Robb's elementary school. She's been there all afternoon. Vanessa, any update from that scene?
Well, first of all, Audrey, that family that Henry was just talking to, that's a heartbreaking reality for many families out here. We've seen parents, other family members coming out here asking law enforcement on the scene, how do we find out where our children are? They had been everywhere else in town they could think of and returned here trying to find their children. I'll give you a look behind us, what's going on right now. We just saw FBI agents walk towards the front of the school. We don't know if the investigation has actually moved, the part of it has moved to the front of the school, but we have seen San Antonio Fire Chief Charles Hood escort some families in the front of the school. Can't imagine what they're facing when they enter those school doors today. And I talked to the sheriff on my way out here earlier today, and all he could tell me, couldn't even give me the details of what was unfolding inside. It was right after they somehow took down the suspect that he said, this is absolutely horrific. He said, our worst nightmare has come true. And I can tell you, Audrey and Deb as well, Sharon, excuse me, that, as a former teacher, you do many lockdown drills. You do many of these drills a couple of times a year, but you never expect them to be real. And I can't imagine what those teachers were wondering today, the uncertainty of what was happening outside their classroom doors as they're inside trying to protect those kids and their care, and the children who are sitting in the classroom wondering what's happening outside the walls of their classroom. And now that we've learned that so many children and a teacher have died today, this community is really hurting out here. As I saw today when I first got here around 12:30, when I saw officers walking out of the school building, their faces, these are seasoned officers with tears coming from their eyes, leaving the tragedy inside that school building today. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Vanessa. Vanessa is live there at Robb Elementary School. She has been there for hours and has seen the terror, the panic from law enforcement officers. Again, this has been truly a community-wide effort. You have DPS, you have FBI, you have Uvalde Police, San Antonio Police, Bexar County Sheriff's Office, just an extreme law enforcement presence over there surrounding that area. Again, she had mentioned SAFD Chief Charles Hood was walking in there with community members and families who are truly going through this heartbreaking experience.
And right now we want to get on over to Alicia Nieves. She's at the Uvalde County Fairplex, where we are waiting to get another update from officials. Alicia.
We were relocated here, Audrey, from the Civic Center, where we had been staged since about 2:30 today, and we are awaiting to see if there will be a press conference. We are all ready. All members, all journalists are here, and we hope to be briefed with some new information. The last time I spoke with you guys, we had spoken to some parents who are just saying, right now there are more questions than answers. And we saw that CBS News, for example, they're speaking to parents who know what this feels like. Not too long ago, they interviewed a father who was affected by the Parkland shooting in Florida, and he says, you know, our hearts, some people might say our hearts are with the families, you know, he says, but that doesn't bring them back. We want our children back, you know, and this happening in Uvalde, you know, we've spoken to people who were born and raised here, and they say it's just hard to fathom that something like this could happen here. And we are seeing support from all across South Texas, as you ladies mentioned. When we arrived here, we went to a staging area outside, I believe it was the old library. It was 300 West Main here in Uvalde, and we saw ambulances from different areas of South Texas. You had Utopia Volunteer Fire Department, you had Val Verde County EMS, and then you had San Antonio Fire. They were the ones who were in charge of that staging area. So you really had just teamwork going on standby in case those entities were needed to assist in this just terrible tragedy that happened at Robb Elementary School. So that is just another component of what we have been witnessing today, is how all of South Texas, both emergency responders and community members, are coming together to just try and help in any way that they can. You had, for example, out of San Antonio, District 8 Councilman Manny Pelayas. He was on Twitter encouraging everyone to donate blood, and I heard you ladies talking about that as well, about how it can take 20 minutes to make a big difference. So we have a link on kens5.com with more ways community members can just lend a hand during this really difficult time for Uvalde. We will update you all if we hear any more information on when an upcoming press conference will happen. The school district and members of law enforcement, Uvalde PD, the sheriff's office, they've been really, really vocal on social media. So we hope to hear an update from them soon. Ladies.
As always, thanks so much, Alicia, for that update. And like she mentioned, a lot of people reacting, a lot of local, state, national leaders, including some local school districts. South San Antonio ISD is changing their protocol in response to the Uvalde shooting. They say no backpacks allowed at any campus for the next 2 days. Campus accessibility is limited to parents and guardians with proper identification, and additional safety support will be placed at every campus. Thursday, May 26th, will be a half day for all students as well. And the district is reminding parents, again, Thursday, May 26th, half day. Elementary school ends at 12:20 p.m. in the afternoon. Middle school will get out at 12:45, and the high school and DAEP at 1:10 p.m. So just an update there for you all who attend South San ISD.
All right, let's go to Matt Houston, who is live at Sacred Heart Church that is in Uvalde, the church that Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Sierra mentioned earlier.
Sharon, the prayer vigil will start here in about 15 minutes. In fact, you might be able to see some people going into the church behind me. I'm not sure how good our angle is going to be at the moment. I stepped in a few moments ago just to sort of see what the atmosphere is like inside. There's probably 25 or so people in there, some clearly in prayer, hands folded, melt on the kneelers in the pews inside the Catholic Church here, some simply in quiet reflection, eyes open, looking back at the cross in the center of the cathedral here in Uvalde. We expect the Archbishop to deliver some sort of address here again in the next 20 minutes or so. The prayer vigil doesn't start for another 15. You heard his message earlier here on KENS 5, talking about looking at each one of these children as people, as victims, but as the next generation of residents here in Uvalde, and remembering their contributions to societal happiness in the area, and pondering that while also remembering a time of tragedy and looking for hope in all of this. And so you can expect that that will be part of the message as you see more people entering the church right now. Again, probably 20 to 25 people inside, very quiet, as you can imagine, at Sacred Heart. Of course, there is another prayer vigil on the other side of town at the Church of Christ here in Uvalde. You can imagine, even if they're not in churches, there are a lot of people praying in this community tonight, and always a blessing to see that come together. And Sharon, you've talked a lot about the sense of community here in the last hour or so. This is one way that that manifests itself, when people come together and join hands, religious or not, to remember a tragedy and look forward to whatever comes next, and what will be a days-long process trying to determine what happened, how families will respond. So again, a prayer vigil set to begin here in the next 15 minutes or so at Sacred Heart Church. There are people inside. It's quiet, as you can imagine, and I would imagine that will probably stay that way throughout the night. We'll keep you posted as we participate in that and see how folks are reacting to all of this. Sharon.
He had mentioned that prayer service at Sacred Heart Church that starts in about 15 minutes. Earlier, Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Sierra had also mentioned after that prayer, there's also an 8 p.m. Mass that will begin after that.
All right, and you know, Uvalde PD, they just updated us as well. They said they are going to hold a press conference where we're expecting to get more information on this mass shooting at Robb Elementary School. Alicia Nieves is there, but before we get to her and we get to that press conference, we want to go to Henry Ramos, who is at Uvalde Memorial Hospital. He's been speaking with families who have been coming and going from that location, some with injured family members, some searching for family members. We're going to go live to him now.
Yeah, Audrey and Sharon, I mean, I will tell you, like, this is extremely tough. I mean, for all of us and all different corners of Uvalde, speaking to people, and obviously because it's so much emotion, so much that they're going through. And I actually had to take a minute to myself because especially just interviewing that aunt who's still looking for her niece, and it's after 6 o'clock in the evening. I mean, her niece, who's in 4th grade, 10 years old, just went to school today and was looking forward to her softball game today, and she still hasn't been found. We're talking to family members who lost their loved one today. A 10-year-old girl lost her life at this hospital today. 13 children taken in buses and ambulances to this hospital today. We've got healthcare workers inside trying to save them, doing the best that they can, and a small community where, as I've mentioned all day, they probably know these kids and whoever came here in terms of adults. I did speak to a woman who actually was trying to just drop off a letter at the mail, and I respectfully went up to her. I didn't mean to scare her, but I went up right behind her. She turned around, she said, "I just watched you on the air, Henry," and she said, I just live a couple of blocks down. And I said, "I'm so sorry, but you know, as someone who doesn't live here, and a lot of people who do live here and who are here in Uvalde for the first time, what can you tell us?" And she said, "Well, let me tell you that I was actually a secretary at Robb Elementary for more than 20 years. Her husband was a principal at Robb Elementary. Her son used to be a student at Robb Elementary. Robb Elementary, even though she's not from here, is home for her. She's walked those hallways. She knows that school. And to hear that today, that someone went in there and that you had children losing their lives inside a school that she worked for, it's tough." And so I want to play a little bit of what she told me. Take a listen.
That's where I worked. And so it's my school. I consider it, you know, our school. So it's just breaking my heart. It's just breaking my heart. I just didn't ever expect anything like that to happen here in Uvalde. And then the person that did this, he used to go to high school here. I mean, he was going to high school here. He was a high school student here.
Right now?
Right now.
Is it just hard to put into words? I mean, I can see it in your eyes. You're like...
I couldn't believe it. But I was watching it. They said, "No, I'm not going to watch anymore. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it anymore." It's just so hard. Like I said, that was where I worked for 25 years. My husband was a principal there. My son went to school there.
Just a candid conversation. I mean, you see the raw of emotions, and that's how it's been, you know, and speaking to a couple of grandmothers today, both of them, you know, their grandsons are safe. You have JJ, who was pulled out of the classroom, pulled out of the window from his dad saving other children. You had another 9-year-old who was able to walk out. He was grazed with his leg, speaking to his grandmother, who prayed that her grandson survived, and he did. But, you know, as these families rejoice, as these...
All right, my good people. I see a couple of people that I'm cool with. They're live, and I think I've been live 2.5 hours. So I don't like bumping heads with my people. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. If I get any more information or any breaking news pop up, I'll definitely go back live. But I see a couple of people that, like I said, they done went live. So I think I've been live long enough. Appreciate y'all. Y'all hold it down. Be easy. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. Hug your kids. Love your kids, man. One love. I'm gone.